Well, here we are with another goddamn new Guess Who Dis. And
Coming back from a hiatus.
yeah, or we didn't do one episode hiatus. But Brian, who the hell are we talking to right now?
We're talking to Anomaly.
Woo!
What the fuck is up?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hi, everybody.
What's going on?
I don't know why, but that guy behind Chris almost looks like VP from First Step to Glory.
No, that is. Hey, no, we got a little bit of first step right here with us, you know?
First.
Hey,
We got celebrity here.
Hey,
Hey, we all have a little bit of first step in all of us, you know?
my parlay's looking really good because we went the first 10 seconds mentioning first up to glory. So keep it going, man.
There you go. Yeah.
gotta shout out the boys, you know?
Plug.
Plug everything. Anyways, how you guys been? What y'all been up to these past couple of months?
We've been pretty good. We just recently finished the 3-song EP, which took a while, but it was a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a lot of, back and forth. So we felt pretty good about it. Some ups and downs, but overall we're pretty satisfied. And now I guess we could say we're working on the next material.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I've actually got to listen to it. That shit's killer. When you were sending me the Google Drive files, for some reason it would say that it couldn't play them, but I thought it was maybe because of my signal. Because like normally when you were messaging me, I was on the road, and sometimes like my signal will either like cooperate or not. So I'm like, oh, I can't listen to it right now.
Yeah, you're not the only one. Like I know Google Drive has I don't know It's like a baby. It'll work when it wants to work. Because I know Javi sending me a lot of OneDrive stuff, and it's just like it works all the time. It's just like your phone has to go through like a stutter phase of pages to go
Sign
through.
in.
Sign in. Everything. Password reset.
Give people access.
You are speaking my language. I use Google Drive so much for this show and just. Oh, man. Trying to manage access to somebody and being like, all right, I made it public. Here's the link. And they're like, I can't access the link. I'm like, I just made it public.
Yeah.
You should be able to access the link.
I still can't access
Right.
it.
Can't even make him editor, and they still won't even go in.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh
Jesus
my God. Yeah, that's another issue with it.
Well, so question, with your 3-song EP, is it self-produced or did you guys record with somebody?
So we recorded everything in-house. So we got 2 studios. We got this is studio number 1, and then at my house it's studio number 2 or 1. I forgot the number I just said.
Does it have? Is the song included in that studio as well?
Yeah. And so I basically recorded everything. So the guitars are the only things that are actually real. The bass and the drums are all MIDI, but like the ambient and all that, it's all guitars. It's plugins and stuff like that. But our mix and masters from our boy Connor Hillman, which we shout out a lot because he's actually a pretty important integral part of our band. Because if it wasn't for him, our sound would not be the sound that it is now. So I wish he was here, but unfortunately he's working. But we the story is with Anomaly is that me and Connor just somehow found each other on Instagram, and I always loved the way he self-produced his own stuff, and it was a dream for me to be like, man, dude, I would wish for you to produce one of my songs, because I was a solo artist at the time. And then that's when me and Javi got together. We just sneezed at we just do bass, let's do something, and then here we are.
Yeah, it took a while to get to this point. Me and Chris, we've been playing for years, and for us, we wanted to always do music, but it was getting a little hard to try and always try to link up, and obviously how life gets in the way sometimes, and once I ended up getting a house, I was like, man, you know what, now I have my own space, now we could do our own thing. And we got together and he put me on a recording path. I was never really a digital guy. I was always the type of guy to plug into the amp and really try to feel out the sound through that. And he approached it very differently for me. And I was like, man, you know what, let's go for it. And we did it. And, to this day, we're just continuously writing music left and right. I mean, it's easy to write to your own stuff. Obviously with drums and everything, if you're capable of doing that. But to
Yeah.
really make it sound realistic, like, obviously we needed an outside source, and, our producer was like really, good at knowing what our sound was going to be like. And he just nailed it to a T. And hopefully the next album that we're going to create is going to have an even better sound than what the first 3 songs for the EP was. Cause that was really our first take at, like, actually getting in and recording songs, properly, and, doing, like, dry tracking, sending it, all that stuff. Like, it was brand new to us. So it's
Mhm.
been a journey, but it's fun, man. It's been really good. And then we got Victor here, who obviously you guys know, and, he's my family. And, I approached him with it. I was like, man, you know what, dude, like, we need a bassist. I know, my cousin's always been playing bass for a long time. So I was like, man, you know what, dude, can you help us out?
Mhm.
And even though the first 3 songs, again, like, those are all digital bass, I told Victor, I was like, man, you know what, maybe, later on down the line we could go back on those songs that we did, and we could actually include both him and our drummer, because our drummer's new too. So I'll let you guys, explain how
Yeah,
you guys got in.
definitely.
Yeah.
So like I said, I've been playing bass for a while and left the scene for some years and had family and stuff, and very blessed to do that. And I came back and reconnected with my cousin,
Mhm.
and we've always bonded together since we were kids. And just putting him onto music, and it's like I lit the wick of a firework, and from there he honestly took off and exploded with Chris. And very proud of him, man. Very proud of both of them. And it was an honor for them to ask me to join, and just the style, man. I just fell in love with it. So new to me, and I was up for a challenge because some of the picking patterns and stuff could be a little bit challenging, and I wanted to learn it, but also throw in my own touch to it because, like I said, I love playing bass so much, and I feel like I had something to offer. Even though you face those challenges when you're learning something new, and I'm always up for a good challenge, man. And I'm still challenging myself, and I want to show these guys that I want to bring their image that they're showing me to life. And with the bass, I feel like definitely I want to help them as much as I can, and look forward to the new stuff for sure. And then going back to the songs as well, I've learned some of the new songs, and I have some really good ideas to add to the bass and stuff. So keep an eye out pretty soon.
Definitely. It's crazy. I never saw you as a bassist. So I think I've only like seen you as a vocalist. It wasn't until I think it was Water Guns in August, and I was like, oh shit, you play bass too?
Yeah,
And that caught
yeah,
me by surprise. I was like, oh shit. And then
yeah. More comfortable playing bass, to be honest. Because as a front man, I get a little nervous. I see the crowd. I'm like, oh shit, everyone's looking at me. Oh crap. I'm like, oh man. But I love music so much, man, and I can't stop, man. I just whatever it is, I'm always down to play music because it's just more than music to me. It's just a feel, and just with great people around you, especially family and new family, man, and getting to know Dan is great group of guys, man, and I'm very honored and very blessed to be here right now.
sounds like you guys have a lot of good chemistry going on. That's good. That's always good.
Yeah.
Dan, you
Well,
wanna
I
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, they me, I've been playing drums for like about 10 years. It would be this year. I started playing when I was 17. I was in high school. I've always been in and out of the scene. I never could really, find the right band. I've been in a bunch of bands. I've been in Theological. I've been in Blood Runner. I've been in Right now, I'm in another band called Baphomet. I'm with these guys. I've played for Backlash, and I play for another few bands that. But yeah, I've been in the music scene for a while, and these guys approached me on Instagram because well, I post drumming reels here and there, and Chris approached me, and he was like, "Hey, dude, I really like your drumming, and we kind of want to get out of doing all the drums just MIDI, and we want to have like a more real drummer touch to the songs." So yeah, that's when they hit me up, and that's why I'm here.
That's awesome. So earlier, when you said you didn't have real bass or drums, obviously I get the drums part. You just load up Superior Drummer or Ease Drums or whatever you're using. But what were you doing for bass then? Was it AI bass plugin or anything like that, or?
No, so like I use the Submission Audio Umansky bass.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got that one. I just recently acquired the Gin Bass 3 because it's got like because like the Umansky is all like finger picking, and the Gin Bass is they have the finger picking, and then they got the with the actual pick, which
Okay.
side by side, there's really, I mean, yeah, like you get more attack of the bass, but I still like doing Mansky. I mean,
Mhm.
it's tomato tomato. Like, I mean, I kind of feel like, you know, right now where we're at with technology as far as plugins, everything's sounding the same. You
Yeah,
know, like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
getting a lot better. Is Imansky the one plugin that was promoted? I think by the basis of Job for a Cowboy. I'm assuming, or is that no?
no,
Right?
that's the shin bass
There
one.
you go. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
shin
Oh,
bass.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, no, that was pretty good too. But I mean, for our style, I kind of thought Umansky was better. Like a lot of people, like I mean, it really depends what side of the spectrum you're on. Like people are like, "Oh, just get a real bass." I'm like, dude, like to drop tune to the tuning that we use, you need like a legit like
Right.
working workhorse of a bass, and it's just
Yeah.
like, dude, I'd rather spend the 160 and just do it myself.
Well, so tackling something you said earlier with, just the fact where we are with technology, it's incredible. Like even for this show, like, we always start off with the riff challenge. We're like, all right, let's just create something out of thin air, essentially. And I don't know if that would be even close to possible if I didn't have fake drums, or if I didn't have, like, I've got, like, my computer right under it is a Line 6 Pod XT, which
Oh,
is,
yeah.
I
Right.
use that for, if you've ever heard any guitar, well, I mean, Brian also records with his stuff as well, but any guitar that I've written comes through this thing, and it sounds awesome. And I've never heard anybody complain about it sounding quote unquote fake or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, I think to that point, from what because I own the Axe Effects, and
okay.
I've owned like other Line 6 products, and going back like way before any of our favorite bands are well known now, like Monuments,
Yeah.
even like Sugar, they use Line 6 Pod XTs all the time, and like.
Yeah.
And I know, like, my favorite Thaw band, which is Ville Jarda and like Humanity's Last Breath, they use the pod, the Red Bean, and I know,
Oh shit.
and
Nice.
yeah, so it's like it's like one specific amp. I think it's called Big Bottom. I think is what they
Okay.
called it.
Yeah.
And so, like, honestly, like if you're running a Line 6 Pod XT, you can just run that into like like a cab IR, and that'll change the sound dramatically, because
Oh
it's
yeah.
really the cab that gives you the sound, and 95% of it is really your guitar playing. But
Yeah.
I seen people with some, even with the Line 6 Pod HD 500, like they come out with some serious tones.
Oh yeah. Well, like me and Brian, we both have Helixes, and
Nice.
obviously the technology is way better than what I'm actually running down there. But holy
Mm.
crap, it still sounds great. And that's what I'm saying is, like, technology has become so awesome. And we were complaining about Google Drive earlier, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome when it works, but when it
Yeah.
doesn't, it's a
Yeah,
disaster.
yeah.
Yeah.
The,
Oh,
fact,
yeah.
the fact that we could record our parts and then send them to each other and then send it to a guy to be mastered, it's pretty awesome,
It
to
is.
say the
Yeah.
least, that,
It is.
we live in this beautiful, beautiful age of technology.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah,
it's
no,
becoming a lot
like-
more accessible. So
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. I mean, like, I know for us, like, for like this whole EP, like, I think the biggest part that was like the biggest con was the MIDI drums, because like sending like files back and forth, like I think with Eva was probably like the song that had the most problems, only for the fact that we would send the MIDI, and then Connor would send it to us and like, hey, the drums on this part's wrong,
Yeah.
and then he'll fix it, but then on another section it'll be wrong, to the point where he had to send me his drum map. I had to redo it, basically copy and paste, but that still takes time.
Yeah.
Then we send it back to him, and then he's like, all right, I think I got it. Send it back to us, like, no, it's still off, and it's just like, dude, it is like we went back and forth so many times where, like, I think the final one where it's just like, dude, please let it be it. It was it. And dude, thank God, dude. Like,
Nice.
Yeah.
it was a nightmare, but at the end, it was worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I mean, it definitely could be nightmaric. Whenever when things go right, it's awesome. But when when it's not, it can be a hell of a headache. I definitely can share that sentiment. I was gonna say, how would you guys describe, your genre? Pretend he's an old lady.
Pretend I'm an old lady. I'm like, oh, hello, youngsters.
Well, honestly,
what genre do you play?
the way that I see it is that like we are very like, gent oriented, but like we do listen to other stuff. I listen to a lot of Hans Zimmer. He's my favorite artist.
Okay, nice.
So I'm into all that, Dark Souls music, movie music, you name it.
Yeah.
And Javi over here, he's more into like progressive,
experimental
so,
type stuff.
experimental kind of stuff, which I like as well. And Victor being metalcore and Danny being more of like the thrash death metal. I always consider us to be more of like modern metal because we're just a mixture of everything that we've listened to, and we're at a time where everything's modern with production, instruments, and everything. So I just call it modern because I think it's just very
easier.
It's easier to say.
It's easier. I don't want to be
being under a subgenre can be kind of
I'm not like,
oh, you guys are this, but you sound like this. I'm like, you know what, we're just metal.
Like I'm tired of that subgenre stuff where it's like, well, you sound like this, and like, you know what, bro, like we're just modern. That's it.
Right.
Well, like, I've seen a lot of locals recently where they're like, we're death metal, and then they'll go up on stage and they'll play, and I'm like, that's a breakdown. That's like a beatdown breakdown. I'm like, that's a different thing. But I could see what you're talking about, where it's like so many different, like there's a lot of different ingredients in that chili there,
I mean, when you were talking about death metal, it's like most like modern death metal bands have been utilizing the crap out of that recently.
Oh yeah, I'm like, oh, this is another breakdown. I'm like, all right, okay.
I'm pretty sure. I'm seeing that.
I know. Like some bands out there, they claim to be one genre. I mean, I'm not shitting on them. It's just like they say one thing, I hear another. It's like, I don't care about genres, but like if you go off of what you say, I'm gonna expect a certain kind of sound and vibe. And when I hear something else, I'm just like, well, okay, I guess. I mean, I'm not mad. It's just like, I was expecting a certain kind of vibe, and then I got something else.
Yeah, I think I don't know, when people ask anything about Vicious Attack, I'm like, it's Slayer. Basically, we're Slayer with death metal vocals.
Featuring Mike.
Oh man.
Wait, what was that? You were gonna say something?
No, I was just I was gonna do a bit where I'm like, Tom Araya in a musical.
Tom Araya in a musical. No, I mean, I would say the same. Like, well, back when I would describe like Central Disorder, I'd say like we're just death metal or melodic. Even though people's like, well, I hear a bit of metalcore. It's like, yeah, we're melodic and metalcore share similarities.
Keyword. It's like different blends that you put in.
It's different blends, But yeah, like when it comes to, I guess like the idea of subgenres, like at first I liked it, but then over the years I'm like, man, I really fucking hate it now because it's like, there's like so many labels, and I'm like, look, we're just this, and then at this point, it's kind of like how you say, you expect something when people are saying like, oh, we're this, but then it's the complete opposite. I think one good example that I would use, I would say like maybe Sanguisugabog. I heard people were like, oh, they're brutal death metal, but I was like, well, it sounds more of like a hardcore band, but with like obviously with death metal vocals on there. But then like hearing other songs, I'm like, oh, now I can see the old school like brutal death, like Suffle style, but or like 200 Stab Wounds. Some of their songs have like that hardcore beatdown vibe to them, despite them being more of a like old school brutal death metal as well.
That's how I felt with Jaffer Cowboy when you go from Knee Deep to Genesis, and then Genesis to the next 3 albums after
to
that.
To Ruination, and then like Genesis to Ruination, and then Ruination to Sun Eater, and then Sun Eater basically became the new album. I can't remember the name of it, but. Yeah, I fucking love that album though. But
yeah, I was like, I remember when I first got into metal, I first listened to Embedded by Jaffer Cowboy off of Genesis, and I was like, dude, this is crazy. I'm never listening to this. And then there I go, like you're on like Comcast On Demand where they actually had like music videos, and so I see Bleed from Meshuggah. I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is. I clicked on it. I'm like, oh hell yeah! And then which is even crazier, And then like I go back to Jaffer Cowboy. I'm like, all right, okay, yeah, I can dig it now.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny.
I remember the first time I had listened to a metal, like an actual metal band. That what you just said brought me back. My friend comes at this point, like the heaviest thing we're listening to is like Linkin Park and System of a Down, and he comes and he brings this disc with a bunch of music videos. He's like, hey, check this out, man, and it's it was a Cradle of Filth playing Her Ghost in the Fog or whatever, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so scary.
Dude, that's how it was when I met Chris, man. Like in high school, I was listening to, like, I grew up on like Blink-182, Sum 41, that type of style and stuff, you know. And then Chris comes along and he's the one that like put me on Job for a Cowboy. Mind you, I've never heard metal like that before at all. So going from something like punkish to that was like a big transition. I was like, oh shit, like this, it's crazy, dude. Like I didn't even know you could do stuff like that. But that opened up the gates to a lot more opportunities when it comes to like, well, as a guitar player, like I'm saying it like this, like it's a lot like more fun to like search for music and just keep evolving with it, because you don't, like, to me, I don't ever want to feel like I'm stagnating, like I'm just like plateauing. Like there's obviously every single genre is cool, I think, and in any way that you want to play it and approach it, it's going to be great. But you always want to feel like you're evolving at some point, in your playing style, and sometimes going outside of your genre is a good thing. And we had to explore a lot of like different styles before we got to where we're at now. And I think the name itself, it kind of helps because Anomaly, by definition, is just like, it's things that shouldn't have like happened that happened,
Right.
And we all have different musical backgrounds, yet we as a collective are able to get together and actually try to come up with something at least pleasant to the ear, is what I would say. Because a lot of metal nowadays, like, it's really like me and Chris talk about this all the time, it's really hard to sound original in metal nowadays, just because it's like oversaturated, man.
Definitely.
Like,
going back to what I said about the breakdown thing.
I mean, there's it's crazy because I talk about this with the Beheading Boys as well, or like how almost every deathcore band wants to be Lorna Shore now, with the symphonic blackened death metal, or like, and I'm just like, okay, look, that's cool, right? And I like Lorna, right? But the thing is, when you have so many bands trying to do the same formula, it's like that it becomes lost, because now instead of being known as like that one band, you're just that one band that sounds like the rest of the guys trying to do the same thing as Lorna, or like Spirit Box. Every metalcore band wants to do most of the stuff they're doing, and I like that.
Hey, we're guilty of that. We're guilty of that. Yeah, we're guilty.
So like, here's the thing: I'm not saying like it's like it's a bad thing. Like it's good to have like inspiration, but it's another thing trying to be a copy. Like.
Definitely.
Like it's one thing to like be inspired, make it your own, but it's another to just be like, let's just do it like they did. It's like, no, try doing something that stands out, because then that's how people will like remember you in the long run.
You're also missing a lady, so
I volunteered to do the same.
Yeah, it's funny. I've always suggested that to Chris. I was like, man, dude, I think our music, the way it's like going, I think a female vocalist would be really helpful and good. But obviously, whether we get a guy or a girl really doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as long as somebody's able to fit the bill, just like how these guys are able to fit the bill for us, like it's gonna work out no matter what. So.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So, something that you touched upon earlier, and with trying to evolve your music and all that.
Yeah.
And then what Victor said back there about trying to what was it? Trying to better yourself, when he first came in. I don't know. It kind of reminded me of the first time, like, with Vicious Attack, when I auditioned, I didn't play fast at all. I mean, we were like kind of like a very like basic thrash metal band, like something you would kind of start out of high school, and it was okay. We had a lot of fun. But, when I auditioned for Vicious Attack, I listened to the music and I'm like, holy crap, I don't even know if I could do this. But they had a band picture on a Craigslist article, and there she was, Cecilia, right there in the front with everybody else in the back. I'm like, oh my God, they got a lady. That's cool. You know? So I went and I tried and I practiced every day to get to that speed, and I auditioned and I was able to get in because, you know, just trying to better yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I basically, you know, like I started sitting down with my cousin, and, you know, just him, when I sat down and we started connecting, he sat me down and he's like, oh, this is what I've been up to on guitar. And like, to be honest, man, I had to turn away to the side and wipe my tear a little bit because I was like, dude, this guy, like I said, this guy, man, he grew up on me. You know, like I said, it's been a while since I seen him. I moved out, and like just his skill, I was just so proud of him. Like, man, you know, like, man, I could imagine like, you know, what you could do, like your full potential. Along with Chris, he showed me the stuff that they've been working on. I'm like, dude. And when we sat down, and I brought my bass over one day, you know, and we sat down and we're just, you know, going over some riffs, you know, and I'm just like, wait, what? Like, hold on, slow down. And then I was just so
That's
nervous.
me with him all the time.
Yeah, I'm like, oh.
I'm like,
You know,
just record it, and I can look at it and put it on a loop constantly when I'm trying to learn the bass for all of the anything that he writes.
Yeah, man. So it's just like I said, it's just something new, and like, you know, just stepping out of your comfort zone. You know, like I love all types of genre of music. To be honest, man, my playlist is a roller coaster of emotions. I could say that, you know, man. And I just love music so much, man. It's always been a part of my life. Always been in my family. Hillbilly family parties, man. One thing that we have for sure is music, and it's loud, and it brings everybody together, man. And it's brought us together, all of us together, man. And that's why I'm, you know, as intimidating as it is sometimes, you know what? I look at it as fuel to keep going and, you know, step out of my comfort zone and just try something new. And you know what? And I'm loving it, man. And you know, I want to keep going for sure.
It's crazy.
And like to touch on that, sorry, like because like all the songs off this EP are at 120 BPM. So Javi likes to, you know, he's like Ricky Bobby. He wants to go fast, you know? so which I respect, you know, because like there was a time where I was comfortable at 120, you know, and then like, you know, he you know pushed me to go like a little bit faster, and then I started sending him stuff like, you know, stuff that we might put on the new album, and he's like, damn, dude, like what the hell?
You know, it's so great because you know, he's kind of right. Like, you know, I always wanted to learn how to play fast. I mean, any guitar player I think at some point can understand when I say, like, you know, it's just that feeling of like, you know, going up and down the fretboard. You just want to do it. You want to succeed in it, and you want to, you know what I mean? You want to be a master at it. Hey, Brian, you're good at it, so you're fine, you know. But you know, the thing is that like, you know, for us, you know, especially like I said, as a guitar player, like you just want to be able to again evolve and stuff, and you know, for us to be able to do this, it's kind of hard because, you know, again, we want to sound original, but at the same time, you know, we're playing stuff like, you know, that's it's out of our comfort zone too. You know what I mean? Like, again, he said that I play fast, but all the stuff that we might be putting out later on is going to be slower stuff because, you know, again, like it's the stuff that we're learning. You know, we're just going with each song. We're learning what we're capable of doing,
what we should
dial back. You know, we're just trying to figure out a sound. That's why in the next album, I think a lot of people are going to trip out with what we got because the first three songs, again, like they're all programmed. Other than the guitars, they're all programmed, and like, you know, it was cool. It was just me and Chris, just two guys in a room coming up with all this stuff, you know. And now that we got an actual full band, now the creative process is going to be a lot better. You know, the writing process is going to be a lot easier. And, you know, hopefully we start coming up with a lot, like, you know, better things for people to enjoy. And like, you know, once we start coming out doing live stuff, I think that would really, you know, the showcase that we're going to like hopefully have is going to be something that people will just enjoy in general. You know, it doesn't even matter if you're into the genre that we are or not. You know, I think as long as it sounds pleasant to the ear and you can vibe with it and you can bop your head a little bit to it, I think, I think it'll be great. You know what I mean? And like, you know, I got to see Victor perform live, and I got to see you perform live, Brian. And like, you know, it's cool to see you guys like, you know, doing it like in real life, because Chris and I still have yet to do that. And, you know, between us and you, like, you know, I'm a little afraid about that because again, doing music inside a room is one thing, but
Yeah.
to bring it out into fruition, that's a whole nother ball game. And like, I would hope that come time, like we're ready for it. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like how it's funny because I was actually talking about that with him and a buddy of his like last week where like it's a difference like to play something but performing it you gotta feel it. That's a whole like another story. Like it doesn't matter how easy or how slow it is. Like
Right.
like it's there's a massive difference performing it if because obviously you can't just know the song. You actually gotta like get into the flow of it because otherwise you're just gonna be that one person just there. It's like everyone thinks it's like just because it's basic it ain't challenge. No, it's still challenging.
Right. Yeah. That's what I told my cousin too. I was like, man, just performing live, just obviously, Brian, we play live and just performing live. I told my cousin, that's a good part because you know what? Not every show is going to be what you expect it. You don't know what to expect when you go up there. You might have technical difficulties. You're going to go through so much. So, but like, that's a good part because once you're all done and set up and you give it your all, man, whether it be 2 or 200 people, man, it doesn't matter. I treat every show the same as if it were my last, because at one point in my life, I did play my last show, and I went 10 years away without playing the show, So now every time I play a show, it's like, man, I play it as my last, and I put so much
you put
passion and effort into it, I put my heart out there, man, and I'm telling my cousin, don't be afraid, man. It's okay, just it's a leap of faith, man. Just it's good, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's good as guitar player as him and Chris are, man. They shouldn't have to worry about anything, man. I know they're gonna do great, man. When that day comes, man, I'm really excited, man. It's gonna be a great experience for everybody.
Yeah, that's funny. You saying that, thinking about my first ever show where I'm just standing there with a guitar and be like, just standing still, just not trying not to look at anybody. Compared to the last show where the last Vicious Attack show, I was like, you can go check out the all the stupid fucking streaming services. I'm like, here I started throwing picks. You want a pick? Here's a pick. There's a pick over there. Whatever. You guys aren't gonna look us up anyway. Here's the next song.
Yeah, I remember that very well.
Yeah. I was like,
Chris and I got used to we got used to playing like back in the day. I think everybody starts off like in a garage somewhere, jamming out for a couple of friends or whatever. We've done that before, but never to the point where it was like, on an actual stage, properly, with the sound engineer and all that stuff. Like, we have yet to experience that, but I think that's going to be the most exciting part, to really try to see if we can bring what we're doing inside the studio room outside, in real life. And, if we do it right, we'll be putting on a show and a performance, like, all at the same time. It's going to be great,
Yeah, I mean, I will say this, like, like no matter how right you try doing it, like there's gonna be people that do know their stuff, but you may run into those people that are like, huh, especially engineers. It's like it's a gamble, like you could be doing everything as perfect as possible, but the sound engineer, like you'll find there's some good ones, there's some bad ones. I've had some experiences where it's like I had to like just tell them like, no, you're like a little more, or it's like too low, and then they're just looking at me like.
So you basically can't always trust the guy behind it.
You can't always, not always. I mean, I'm like, he has way more experience when it comes to playing live. Same thing with VP. Like, both of them have more experience than I do. I'm still new to this, but yeah, that's the first thing I learned. It's like, you can't always rely on them to be, the best of the best. Like, if it's a good one and someone oh yeah, there you go. But yeah, there's always a risk of like the sound guy just being like, huh? Or they'll try putting it on you when it's really them not knowing. Yeah, like it's a whole process basically.
It kind of reminds me of that cat meme where like it's just looking at you like, huh?
Literally, huh?
One thing I do if it's like a really important show, I'll like go and meet the sound guy and be like, hey, what's up, man? Like try to be friendly, offer him like I don't know, like a snack or something if we have snacks with us, and get on his good side, basically. So at the very least, he'll be like, oh, it's that guy,
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Since we talked a little bit about it, how about, since we don't really get to talk about this a lot, Brian, how about we talk gear? How about we talk some gear, guys?
Oh, okay. I can actually go first. I actually so what we use is basically the Machine Gun Kelly guitar.
The razor
Good
one,
choice.
the razor blade one.
Yeah, we like that one a lot because like you don't have to turn up the mids; it just cuts right through. So we use right now like our main guitars are two multi-scale Ibanez. One is a regular like $500 one that I souped up with some bare knuckle pickups, some locking tuners, and the other one's an Iron Label one with Fishman fluence humbuckers.
Ew, I like the
Yeah.
Fishman
I
fluence.
actually hate them to be honest.
Really?
Yeah,
I like
I
them.
do.
I don't know.
I do not like Fishmans at all.
It's preference.
Oh man, I
Yeah.
had a guitar with one for a while. It was ESP LTD Eclipse, I believe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
nice
it
one.
had it was black. It had the Fishmans and it had an Evertune on it. And that guitar for a while was like I recorded like an EP with it, and it was awesome because it's got the two voicings. So I would just put it on the passive voicing the entire time, and yeah, that was my go-to for a while. Yeah, that's surprising. But the bare knuckles. Are they the what is it? The nail bomb or which one is it?
So the bare knuckles that I have is basically the bare knuckle impulse. So they're based off of the guy from Northlane, Josh Smith,
Oh, okay.
which in Depths of Paradise and in Eva, that's the bare knuckle impulse.
Expensive.
For Spice, that's the Fishman influence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
I just prefer passive pickups. Like I actually have another guitar that we might use on this record coming up, which is a Solar 7-string, which I got some legendary pickups from this guy. They're called legendary Zeus
one.
pickups.
I've got a Seymour Duncan Nazgul in here.
Oh,
Ever
they just
since-
redid that one. I think they just came out with like a new version of it recently.
It's possible. I saw a post from Seymour Duncan that they have it back, but now you can do it in fun colors, basically. And that was their thing. They're like, you could pick like zebra now or whatever. And it's like, okay. But I love so a long time ago I saw an ad for the Seymour Duncan Nazgul, and I think at the time they had paid I'm guessing the Tolkien family, but it was it had a ring wraith with his hand like this and the pickup floating, and I was like, oh my god, that's so cool.
Yeah, I found out about that pickup from Keith Merrill because he was like a big Seymour Duncan rep, and like
yeah, me too.
I gave him like my Jackson 7-string, and that has a Seymour Duncan custom 5, and it's got a I think it's a 59. I think it's a 59 in the neck. I'm not too sure. I kind of forgot it. Right?
Yeah, nobody cares about the neck pickup.
Yeah, so like, he's more of an active guy, more of a passive.
Okay. Yeah, I think Seymour, like Keith Miracle, really was like that biggest early like endorser for Seymour Duncan. He did like a shootout video. I remember back in the day where it was like 15 different Seymour Duncan pickups, and it was like a game changer. I saw that Nazgul, and ever since, like, you know, primarily Vicious Attack plays an E flat standard, and it's, you know, like, it really is the player, like, you know, like how heavy, quote unquote, you sound, but the Nazgul really, really helps with that gnarl. I got you were talking about Solar. I have a Solar. It's like an Explorer shape, 6-string. And it's got a Seymour Duncan Nazgul in the bridge as well. So, yeah, I'm kind of I'm married to the pickup, but they don't make it for 6 strings anymore. So I have to go on eBay and buy it from strangers, which, you know.
Yeah, no, that's how I am. I bought another baritone 6-string, and I'm currently right now I had some Lundgren M6s in it because I switched out the pickups because I'm big into pickups as well. But I think I'm gonna try out Hoppa's guitars, Ashen ones, which is based off of Buster Odenholm from Village Jarda, Humanity's Last Breath. Even
Nice.
I forgot what's the other band. I don't know. I just because like we play like it's kind of funny because like going back when I met Javi. When I first texted him, he was talking about drop D. I'm over here talking about drop A.
Yeah.
I'm on drop A, and like we're now doing like double drop, and we're doing all kinds of stuff
Drop
right
Z.
now.
The G.
Right. Yeah.
Dude, like we're like really like low on there.
Yeah, and it's like interesting to like tap into like different types of tuning too, because you're not subjecting yourself to just one tone of it. You're just you're playing around with it. You're trying to see how it would sound, lower or higher or however you want to play it. You know what I mean? It's all comes down to the player really.
Mhm.
But for us and the style that we're doing, like, me personally, like I play a lot on the top strings, on the top three a lot. That's how I first learned how to play guitar. And
Like
doing the
everybody.
style that we're doing now, like it utilizes that a lot. So like I'm jumping up and down the fretboard as much as I could. I'm really good at attacking that like thick string, you know what I mean? And like it's fun, man. You know how it feels to just hit that top, It's just it's a good feeling, man. Like, just trying to learn different techniques just to like get it going and sounding really good.
Yeah. So I had I used to use the Ernie ball when I used to play the metalcore, obviously, and stuff. But when these guys different tuning, I invested. I like to say invest, not just buy, because it's an investment. Music instruments are an investment, but I got
that's what I tell my mom when I was a kid. I tell my wife now.
I don't have a problem. It's an investment. I don't have a problem.
I don't have a problem. So what if I got a Guitar Center gear card and I'm buying stuff? Who cares?
I don't got a problem. You got a problem.
Yeah, but I had invested in the Ibanez like the workshop multi-scale, the SRMS 805.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool, man. I just gotta update it a little bit more just because I need, like, say, get a little bit more thicker string because so it can hold the tuning and it can sound really good, because if you don't have that thicker string, man, you notice a difference. It just kind of flops a little bit.
Yeah, the sustainability.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. So I gotta hopefully within next week I order them. I'm actually going to follow up after this and talk to Chris and maybe just order them, hopefully I get them by next week. And I got to take it to my guy, Jesse J, shout out Weeping Maiden, and get that upgraded properly. Because I just don't want to do it myself off of YouTube just because I invested, some money on that bass, man. And I don't, my luck, I'll mess it up and mess up the nut or something like that. But I want to properly get it fixed so I could, hold the tuning and stuff. And like I said, and just be ready to attack that bass with the boys, man. So it's pretty cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
sweet,
pretty
man.
sick. I mean, you always want to make sure you're getting it done right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. And anyone that knows, Jesse J's the man who knows for sure.
Yeah. What about you, Dan? What are you rocking behind the kit?
Well,
putting you on blast.
Right?
Well, shit, me, I've never really been about, like buying fancy gear. I've always been more of like, trying to master my fucking instrument. But right now I'm using a Tama Rockstar. This Saturday, actually, I have to upgrade it to cymbals, so I'm getting a Mino Classics.
Nice.
Because I actually have a show on Sunday. My other band's opening up for Nervosa and Hatred. So yeah, we're gonna be
shout out to Baphomet.
Shout out to Baphomet. But yeah, that's what I'm using right now. For pedals, I'm using Pearl Dominators, drumsticks, Pearl Mark always. And for my snare drum, I'm using a Mapex Black Panther, which it's a little popcorn snare, but it has a really good pop to it. So yeah, I like it a lot.
Nice.
Very cool.
Pretty sick. I think he's like the first drummer who's ever discussed his own gear. I don't think we ever touch up on drums. We had Calvin, talk about his microphone once, but I was like, I don't think we've ever had a drummer.
Yeah, but he did it as a joke. He's like, "Oh, I'm actually rocking the Shure,"
I know, but I was just saying, I'm like, yeah, I feel like we even had a vocalist, despite it being a joke. I'm like, yeah, I don't think.
Well, obviously we come from a place of incredible bias because we are guitar players. So when he's talking about his drums, all we can do is
just nod. Yeah. That's exactly how I feel when you guys talk about guitars. When you guys are talking about guitars right now, I'm just like, yeah, okay, yeah, like I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about.
All
You know?
he hears,
Okay,
all
yeah,
he
I'm
hears
here
is
for it.
caveman talk. It's like,
Yeah.
And like my favorite symbol is the cowbell symbol.
no. See, like I'm familiar with like a bit of drums, but like I'm not like the most familiar. But I was like, okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know the basics, not a lot to
Yeah.
even go with this guy.
Same here.
I can go as far as like I know like his kit is probably like the shells because I used to be into drums and I used to like I'm a spec nerd. Like I like to know the spec of everything just because like if I'm buying something I need to know everything to know like okay, is spending this amount of money actually going to justify for what I really need. So like I know his kit probably has like maple shells or some kind of blend because I know like the higher tier Tamas like you have like birch walnut, you got like bobinga, you got maple, you got like mahogany. It's like dude,
so
it's
much.
like why?
Yeah.
You know,
Then
You're
just
like-
like I disapprove of everything they're saying.
It's like it's like when people explain their drums, they have to always say like, oh, it's either mahogany, birch, or maple, or whatever type of
Some
fucking
type
wood.
of wood,
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like, oh, I have a Tama Rockstar, or I have a Tama
Yeah.
Star Classic, or I have a Pearl, whatever, But yeah, it's always some shit like that.
That's funny. I'd be like, I want this drum set made out of a tree the same tree they use for Doritos.
I want the large trash can sound out of this one.
Yeah.
No, actually, I think my favorite snare sound would have to be the. I was like, I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with Obscura. Anti-Cosmic
yeah.
Overload. What's his name? Hans. He had like the coconut type snare sound.
yeah.
I,
I
don't know why,
remember.
I was always intrigued with that one. It's like,
Well, one of my favorite drummers has always been Chris Adler from
Oh yeah.
X
Oh, God.
God.
Yep.
So that's why I bought that popcorn snare because I know he was he's one of the endorsers of Black Panther for Mapex, and
Good movie.
actually, I really like that that snare sound on Ashes of the Wake. So
Yeah, hell yeah.
That is the best way that I've ever heard that snare sound put. Popcorn.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys know like the story behind the sound of like his kick drums that like the producer, which his name was Machine, he actually got a sample of a typewriter and blended it in with the kick.
Really?
And that's why
that's
he has
actually
like
pretty
that.
sick.
Yeah, he has. So that's why he's got like that typewriter kind of like click to it. And like I was listening to him, like, dude, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard, but that is like the most genius thing anyone has ever done.
That is pretty dumb.
It's pretty dumb, but it somehow works.
There's a
Yeah,
lot.
triggers. Yeah, triggers.
that's basically triggers.
Yeah.
For
Yeah, it's triggers,
There's a lot of lore like that. Like there's the obviously the Phil Collins lore, with him recording those drums, in like a cave.
Oh, really?
There's also like in one of the Get Good Drums library, you can hear Nolly's voice in one of the snare samples, I think.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, and like I was like, really? So I tested it. And I'm like, yeah, you literally hear his voice. It's just so funny.
That's fucking funny. Holy shit.
My favorite snare sound is when you hit the snare and it makes a dog bark. It's like,
You sort of reminded me of the it's funny because that reminds me of Austrian Death Machine where they had
Oh man, I haven't heard that in a while.
where they try using the fucking machine gun snare and then someone's head being smashed.
that's funny.
Oh shit.
Man, that brings me back.
Yeah, dude.
That brings
That's an old school band.
dude.
That
I'm
was
not gonna
good.
lie. Azalea
Let's
Dying was
practice the song.
What about Azalea dying? Or-
like no like
What?
like
Your favorite band? What?
no like I'm not gonna lie, that was actually one of my favorite bands growing up. Like I loved him, and then like the time that I heard that he went to jail for all that, I was like, dude, are you kidding me? Like you were my idol. Like
hey man,
what the hell?
man, it's okay. She's alive, dude. It's like she's not dead, bro.
Oh man. Yeah, no.
No, I mean, look, I get that sentiment though because I didn't look up to Tim like that, but I also did like Azalea Dying. And then when I heard about it, I was like, yo, one of my boys who he's a streamer, his name's JC, is a huge fan of Tim, and when that happened, he was heartbroken by it. He's like, "What the
Yeah.
fuck?" Like, it's crazy, you know. Like, you know, you obviously, you know, we see all of our favorite musicians, we put them on a pedestal, and we're like, "Oh, you know, they did it all wrong," and then you kind of forget that they're human. Like me and Rocha from like Carrion Throne were talking about this in an episode when we were talking about Michael Keane from the Faceless, you know, where the guy's like, you know, a phenomenal guitar player, but then when we see him recently, how he's been unraveling with addiction and everything, it's just like, holy shit.
That one is more sad.
It's a more sad one. I mean, Tim. I mean, well, even with Tim, it's more sad.
It's not like your favorite comedian was like Bill Cosby or something.
And I will say the thing.
You know,
that would further south. But I was gonna say, the one thing about Tim, you know, like despite him being back, he can never catch a break on social media. When he was talking about his current wife's birthday, everyone just went at him in the comments. And I think the one comment that had me rolling is, "I hope it was a hit, man."
Oh my god!
Oh man! It was like, but I was like, I mean, it's expected because, you know, obviously everyone knows what he tried doing, but I'm like, man, I was like,
hey, but man, he got away with it. He's free and making music, and he's got the guy from fucking Unearth in his band.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious to see how that album's gonna sound like. Did it already came out or?
I know that they came out with something. I just haven't had the time to listen to.
They announced that they were releasing something new, but I can't. Or I think it's a new full length, but I haven't paid much attention to it. But
yeah, I mean, like that band lost literally like 80% of its members, and it's just like
especially the founding drummer, which was that's insane too. That because I remember first it was Nick Hippa leaving, and then you had the Josh who joined Spirit Box afterwards, and then. The next day, they're drumming. I'm like, oh, that's a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah, that one hurt. I was like, damn, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do? Kind of shows you that maybe, like, you know, their return wasn't as, like, you know, I guess it wasn't as smooth as, you know, we all thought it was. It might have been, there still might have been a lot of bumps to it, which, I mean, it's crazy. It is.
Yeah, no, it is. It's sad.
Imagine the first phone call you get from Tim, you know, after he's been in prison and he's finally out. He's like, "What's up, guys?" They still got like an old Discord group thing open. He's like, "Who's ready to make some music?"
Oh shit!
Like,
no, I know. Like that comment section was brutal. I was like, damn, this is like. I kind of felt bad for the guy because I was like, damn, dude, like literally.
Same here, but yeah, like I said, I mean, it's gonna follow him forever. I mean, of course, you know, like there's gonna be people that are not gonna. I mean, some people, you know, will never let it go, but some people will troll because it's. I mean, even the people who've always hated Azalea dying, like, or most. Well, I wouldn't say all the thrash community, but you know, the thrash community has hated on these guys as well, and now it's like, we got a better reason to do so because I know from I can't remember his name, but from a thrash metal band that when I posted, you know, he's coming back, he's like, oh well, actually, he's still a piece of shit. So, okay, I know that. Like, yeah, you think I don't know that? Still, it doesn't matter. I was okay, like I get it, you know, it's like we know, right? Like,
what it's like to be on Reddit, you know.
That's why I actually that's the only platform I don't even go on. Like I have a Reddit, but I'm just like, you know what, I'm just
cursed.
It's cursed.
No, actually, it's funny because I remember watching like, you know, your older podcast, and I know you guys were talking about guitars and Schecter, and I was so bright, like, dude, I got banned from Reddit 10 times because I would go to like a Kiesel page.
Oh yeah.
And like, I would just be like, hey, ESP's the best brand, and I would get shit talked to death, and then I get banned, and then I'll make another account.
So I will say, ESP guitars are fucking amazing.
They are.
If you know, like if it were, I was like, you know, choosing between Kiesel or ESP. I went with Kiesel, but the fandom for Kiesel is definitely a fucking cult. Like I will say that.
Yeah, no,
like, it's like you guys need to like stop sniffing glue. Go touch some grass. I mean, there's other, you know, companies out there that, you know, either are good or they do it better. Just stick with what you're comfortable with.
Right.
But
yeah, that's how I feel about Ibanez. Like I love Ibanez, but Jesus Christ, like get rid of the Floyd Rose. Just get an Evertune in one of these 7 strings. Call it a day because like everyone else is moving forward, and I was talking to my producer about that. I'm like, dude, I love Ibanez, but can they just get with the times. You know, like I know it's not like lucrative compared to everything else, but it's just like, dude, like that Floyd Rose is just killing me. You know, like it's just
I hate
a different
Floyd
design would
Rose.
go.
I had a Floyd Rose for my second guitar. Worst mistake of my life. It was a nightmare restringing it, setting it up. I'm like, I hate this thing so fucking much.
You just buy it to sell it like the next day.
I stuck with it over the years, but eventually, the old Floyd that I had, it was a Dean Vendetta. It fell apart, and I tried replacing it, and I was like, you know what? I give up. I'm just like,
throw it in a garbage can.
I was like, I give up. I was like, I can't do it. It was a migraine dealing with it, especially as a beginner guitarist at the time. I started when I was like 14, so I picked it up at like 16, and I was like, man, this was the worst mistake of my life. I like the whammy stuff, you can do it, but I was like, yeah, this is just awful, Mike.
Well, you don't have patience for that kind of stuff at 14, you know.
Well,
here's an extremely complex puzzle.
Here's the
that's
thing.
gonna piss you off in 2 minutes.
I would spend 3 hours of my day trying to figure that shit out. So I was like, I don't have patience. I'm like, no, I spent like hours upon hours on that shit, and I was like, man, this is the absolute worst. How do people deal with this?
It's kind of like if you play Elden Ring, like how do people just like dominate Kaylee, you know?
Yeah,
you triggered him.
Yeah, I couldn't get Elden Ring. That was totally crazy.
I feel attacked because I think I put 1,000 hours into that game and I beat the DLC already. So I was like, dude,
I swear, like because like I remember
I platinumed that fucking game in like a month, dude.
See, he's even better than me because like I was like me and my producer got it at the same time, and I was like halfway done with it, and like it's only been like the second day, and he's like, dude, like what the hell? I'm like, man, like
I finished it in a month and a half, and I remember when I was telling VP and like everyone else in my band when the DLC came out, I was like, hey, I'll still be active on the chat, but just know I'm gonna disappear from society for like maybe a week or two.
Nice.
Just to finish.
Yeah, when you told us the hours you put in, I was like, you monster. You're like,
yeah,
what the hell? Like, geez.
Hey, when it's a good game, dude, you just
you just get lost.
You just get so lost.
Just get lost. It's like that game just had so like I remember when I was playing it for the first time, I'm just like I felt like I've seen it all, but I didn't. I just kept exploring for hours on end. And I'm like, a lot of people's like, how could you do that? I'm like, if it's a good fucking game, you're just gonna want to keep playing it, you know.
Yeah,
there was Skyrim for sure. Those hours on Skyrim.
Yeah, it's not like Call of Duty. Like as soon as you're in a lobby, you're like, all right, I'm out. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I am so much the opposite of you guys. I bought Elden Ring, and there was something shooting fire at me at the end of a corridor, and I spent like an hour trying to get through that corridor just to die constantly. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm just done with this game. Like, I just stopped playing it.
And that was just a tutorial.
Yeah. I'm like, you guys can give me your Floyd Rose guitars, and you could play that, and I'll we'll finish about the same time, I'd say.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, can't contest that one.
You can never contest that one.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, my God.
All right, guys. Well, what do we have here for the future? Let's talk about the future here, right? You know, screw right now.
So,
let's talk about the future.
So the future, like the plan that we've all talked about, because we have band meetings like everyone.
Yeah.
So we talked about the future. Like,
do you do them in the shower?
Yeah. Like he called. Yeah, you know what? Talk about the shower.
No,
this is the only guy that he's able to take a shower and talk on the phone at the same time.
Really?
Like, what do you want? Like,
you just
shower buddies.
It's like three guys at First Up to Glory are like sending voice messages, and I just hear the shower in the background.
No peace here. No wasted time. But like, so we are definitely gonna start. Practicing our EP live at the Rock Spot, courtesy to Victor. We're planning on getting it done. I just gotta have Connor send us like the files for like all the songs so that me and Javi can go over what's gonna be in the back and what's actually gonna be played as far as guitars, and then Danny on the drums and Victor on the bass. At the same time, we're gonna be working on new music. Like, of course, like if you ever see my page or Anomaly page, you will see a lot of demos of a lot of stuff that we're either planning on releasing in the next album or sometime in the future. So we do want to play shows, but just like how Javi stated, like it is gonna be difficult because we want to sound just like the record. Now it's possible. It's just you gotta
To
get the
emulate
right
it in real life is gonna be tricky. You know
yeah,
what I
and
mean?
you got to get the right equipment. Like
Um,
I'm working on getting another X effect, so we sound the same as far as guitars. And so we want to make sure we're on the same page, and everyone's comfortable with the set, so that because we like in all honesty, like I can sit there and say, yeah, like I can play some of the songs, but then some parts I'm like, yeah, dude, I literally cannot
yeah,
play
I want to say maybe give it another year and we'll be able to actually start being like more open to doing more live stuff because right now I think we are at the point where we really need to solidify our sound, and I think now that we have a full band and it's no longer just me and Chris behind the computer, I think now it's a little bit more imperative now to just try to get all of us like really in sync with each other and like know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and then try to build from there. Because Chris and I, we write a lot of songs, and again, this goes back to how we were talking about before, where we're writing the drums and everything. Well, now that we got an actual drummer, now all those songs that we already wrote those ideas for, now we're gonna have to go back to them and be like, well, now let's change them up. Now let's do this with a real drummer, have a real feel for it, and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So, a lot of these songs that are going to be coming out, man, they're going to be very interesting to not only for us, but for all of you guys, to be able to experience what we're experiencing, just, trying to create it and, having fun with it, obviously. But I think, yeah, like I said, in the future, I think give it another year, and I think we'll be ready to share the stage with you guys. You know what I mean? But I think for now, like I said, I think we're all just really focused on just creating a sound together. Obviously being in a band is like a collective; it's a brotherhood. So like you guys want to vibe with each other. You guys want to be able to come together, write perfectly, and be like, all right, we're satisfied with this, and on to the next one. So it's a give and take. It's a work in progress, but I think we're going in the right direction, and um it's the pacing that we're doing it at is I think it's okay, you know.
Yeah,
No, definitely. I agree with that. All right.
Sorry about that. Turning the camera back on.
He wasn't walking away.
I was, yeah, I'm
Was he
Yeah.
here?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's the guy in here.
like
I'll
I made
get to
myself
next time.
hungry
It's
with
he's
that.
not done talking.
Like I'm gonna go take a Dorito break.
Oh shit.
I know that's good. That's a good goal. Actually, solidifying your sound before. And there's nothing more frustrating than I mean, we've all been there. You see the band,
Yeah.
it's like I don't know, clearly going through something. This is rough.
I actually got a question for you guys. Not since like we are like different from like what we hear, locally. Like if you guys have heard all three songs or maybe just one, like what's your opinion on it? Like what, like how, like from like an outsider, from someone that I want to say not into the genre, but like from like someone that's listening to something different. Like what do you think about it?
Well, you want to go first, Brian?
I mean, I dig the sound. I'm no stranger to it. I've always been familiar with. I will say maybe before when I first started hearing it, I used to like be the opposite. I didn't like it, but then like getting to like listen to like bunch of new stuff over the years and learning I guess like the whole aesthetic of it, especially what I was saying, like it's one thing to just play it, like despite it being it could be simple. Well, it's still tricky as hell, but no, I definitely dig it. The production quality is like literally there. It's very pristine. I enjoyed the fuck out of it.
I will say that is the one thing that I noticed immediately. I'm like, holy shit, the production quality is like really, really good on this.
Yeah, like you can tell, like it's honestly like, it's from especially from like from when you guys released I'm trying to remember, I think it was Spice like about a year ago.
Yeah.
There's a drastic difference in it, and and I'm saying like in a good way, not saying that it wasn't good back then. Like it was great, but now seeing it now, it's like you literally see how much like you guys like have improved. You can tell like you guys have come a long way since then.
Yeah,
Also-
and I'm sorry, and I gotta give that credit to Connor. He's probably gonna be watching this, but like he's the man. Like even if you go on his page and check out his stuff, he's the man.
Yeah, our producer really found our
he's the man,
sound.
dude. Like,
He nailed it basically.
Yeah, Yeah, he's amazing.
Also, it's important to know that when you do eventually get out there, like no one expects you to sound 100% like your album.
Oh,
You're going to go out there. There's going to be some kinks to work out, like Brian over here with Beheading uses like tracks and stuff like at the beginning, like, if you have any synth or like, it's going to be a learning
backtrack
process.
basically.
Yeah, backing tracks. Yeah.
It's going to be a learning process, and sometimes it's going to work out perfectly and sometimes it's going to mess up. You can't really like, flag yourself for that, flagging yourself. But it's like you just go, you do your thing, you do what you do,
a little short funny story when Beheading plays Stone Cold once. The part where obviously Stone Cold comes in, right? After the song ended, it comes up again for some reason. It's happened to us, I think, once or twice, and we're like, oh, shit, that's not supposed to come up now.
Right.
That's funny.
That's what I was telling these guys, too. Just like I see how the Heading Hack-On has, like, the tracks and stuff, and I told him, one day, we work something out, and, maybe they get, like, X32, and you all plug into in-ears, and, like, there's ways to have those going in the background when these guys can figure out what they want to play, because it's a lot of layers that come together as well, and the idea of a third guitarist just to have those layers, was up in there and here and there. But like you said, with technology nowadays, it's doable. I've seen bands, Brian, we're on tour, shout out Sun Crusher, they use X32 and they want to sound like how they sound in recordings too. And sometimes the venue, the acoustics, sometimes the sound guy doesn't know how to hook that up, so it's got to be very, very knowledgeable.
Yeah. You remember their guitarist, when they started playing, we couldn't hear them. We're like, hey, why is he sound so low? And then the sound guy eventually was like, oh, shit. And
exactly. So that's why it's like, you got to make
just see them playing. I'm like, wait, I can't. I'm like, am I deaf or I can't hear that? I was like, no, they need to turn him up. And then they eventually, they did halfway through the song. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And then, that's another thing, too, when it goes to live, just, we can't be that band that takes 30, 40 minutes to set up, make sure everything's there. Because it's going to happen, especially if you're going to have backtracks and stuff. You want to make sure everything is on, everything's leveled, ready to go, and the sound guy knows everybody's, communicating that everything's good, And,
that's going to be an interesting thing to tap into because what I said earlier in our conversation was that, I don't know how it's going to sound in real life, right? Well, with those backing tracks, like, obviously, Chris and I were talking and we're going to have some, I think the problem stems from the fact that, like, some of those backing tracks that we do, we had a lot of ambient guitar tones in our background. And, I told Chris, I'm like, man, like, it's going to be really hard for us to decide what to keep in the backtrack and then what we're going to be playing, in reality, because some of those backtracks, like, I like playing clean. I love ambient cleans a lot. I'm a sucker for that. And, some of the ambient cleans that I've done over those tracks, like I want to play them live, but then I start thinking to myself, I'm like, man, like, is it going to come down to me, wanting to play those live, or should I just keep them in the backtrack and just help out the rhythm? You know what I mean? Like, it just comes down to that. And like, that's where I guess the worry comes of how we're going to sound in reality versus how we sound on a computer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's so crazy, but like, it's a fun process, man. Like, it's really fun. And like, seeing bands like you guys using backtracks the right way, and like, we could learn a thing or two from that, and obviously it'll help us out a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys figured it out. I mean, I'm still trying to figure my shit out for the most part. So I'm there with you regardless. And learning in this,
Yeah, and then when you're setting up, you get like people like who are really cool, who are familiar with it, that will jump on stage and help you out as well, and be like, if they notice something is up, then they'll let you know, hey, maybe turn this guy up, or hey, this is not working, and they'll go and they'll and help you out, So
I mean, you'll always spot us, like if the sound this was before I joined Beheading. Hidden Cove, I kept telling the sound guys, like, turn too much high end, turn it down. He's like, I'm like, no, just turn that shit down.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, we're running out of time here, so let's use this remainder to say, plug yourselves. Plug all of your stuff right now.
Go ahead, Chris.
Right now.
Plug it away, dude. Plug it away.
Well, basically, like we're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. We don't do Twitter. You could Instagram is actually our biggest one. And then follows Facebook and TikTok. But you can find us on YouTube. On Instagram, it's Anomaly_metal. Yeah. And then same thing for like Facebook and YouTube's a little bit difficult because there's a bunch of anomalies out there for some odd reason.
Yeah.
But
No pun intended.
yeah, no pun intended. But we have links in the description. We have a link tree there for
for Spotify stuff. Yeah.
We can't get on iTunes for some reason because there's too many anomalies. And it's just like really, but yeah, you can find us on Instagram.
You just spell anomaly with a 0 instead of an O, and then
I'm probably gonna end up doing that. Yeah, but yeah, no, that's where you can find us.
Yeah.
And
if you guys like our stuff, check us out.
Tag us, share us.
Find them on all the streaming platforms except for Apple.
Except for Apple.
Soon.
Soon.
Yeah, definitely. But thank you guys for having us over on the back.
It's good to have you guys.
This was fun, man. This is cool. Thank you for the opportunity.
Very rarely, me and Brian will have a guest on where it's very effortless. Like we can just talk about anything, jump into another thing.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, it was definitely a fun time with you guys.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, cool guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, man.
Hi, Mom.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Check them out on the socials.
Wash your ass.
See ya.